serve the interests of the worker. It's the free market system, Milton Friedman's been arguing, I think, not labor unions, which best protect the interests and serve the interests of the worker. Walter Williams, your reaction?
Well, I think clearly labor unions serve the best interests of workers who happen to be members of labor unions at the expense of workers who are excluded from being members of labor unions.
Ernest Green?
I don't think you can have a democratic society without having trade unions. I think if you look at any democratic country, it's essential to it. Right of workers to organize, and I think it's consistent. If we're to maintain a democratic country, those freems that the right of workers to organize is a primary objective that we have to maintain.
Bill Brady?
Well, if they are so vital, why are so many union members leaving the unions? Why are they losing so many decertifications? Why are the unions losing so many decertification elections? Why has the number of union members declined so precipitously from 23% of the labor force to, what is it now, less than 18%?
Well, it depends whose figures you're reading, but workers aren't leaving the labor movement in droves, and the union is not declining precipitously. My union, the United Steelworkers of America, the major unions in the country, many small ones are out organizing and growing. The mix of work in the society is changing. We have some employers, as we saw in the film, who can't wait to rush off to the South and try to get in an anti-union environment and invest their money in prosperity in the South instead of in the North. And surely if you invest money anywhere, you're going to have prosperity. So we also have a mix in terms of civil service and service workers, where we have employers who have grumbled on that film.
I don't know that if you...
I'm not feeling that guy. Whatever that guy's saying it's not coming from... I don't have the evidence for that, but it's not coming from grounded place. It's sounding like a rhetoric, right? Am I wrong? I don't know.
I don't know that if you invest money anywhere that you're going to have prosperity. I don't think that that's a given. That is, you seem to me to be dealing in a premise there that is incorrect.
But
well,
wait a minute. The key question we're discussing is who protects the worker? Is it the labor union or the free market that best serves his interest?
Well, it seems like from the evidence that I have from a number of research projects that I've engaged in, I found that labor unions protect their members often at the expense of disadvantaged people. And it's a very, very interesting question that labor unions down through the ages have discriminated against all kinds of people in favor of a particular class of workers. We find that labor unions have gone out on strikes and have murdered and maimed people because other people sought entry. And in terms of Mr. Green's remark, he says that in a free democratic society we need labor unions. Yes, that is true. We need the right for voluntary association. That is, people have the right to form associations, but it should not be a requirement that you be a member of a labor union in order to establish a contract for employment.
That's the problem. It reminds me of the MTA in New York. Those that live in New York know that the MTA has a very strong union. If they don't like something, they're gonna strike the entire thing. And even though you're paying for the service, they're gonna stop the train until they don't get what they want. And you have to pay for the union. You become an MTA, you wanna be part of the union, you have to pay the union. I think it's $2,000 a year. I don't know. That number might be a little bit off, man. But those trains they're bad. Never gets better. They're always fixing it. They're always fixing I don't know what. I remember just driving the J and the Z every Saturday, and I lived in New York for 6 years. Every Saturday, that station, that line, it was always in construction, always. I find it so weird, and they're making billions of dollars. That's the weird thing too. Well, yeah, the union is. Listen, I might be wrong. There might be a space for union. There's some employees that they're not good people, and you need protection. That's true. That's true. But that has to be negotiated in the terms where if you leave the job, you just leave the job. And the thing is that if you don't want to be in a job, you can just move to the next one. Why you cannot do that? Just do the next one. Nobody owes you anything. I work as a self-employed, so I just make my own conventions, and there's nobody just saving my budukis. So I have to just do what I have to do. But I used to work with solo companies that they used to do bad things, and I sat down with them. But the third time, they didn't just comply with me. I just left. I don't know. I don't need no unit to protect me. You see what I'm saying? The market itself was just regulate, and this was in New York too.
Can't we get some perspective in this, Walter? Talking about unions down through the ages makes no sense at all in terms of where we're at now in this century at this time. This business of trying to relate where unions come from to the medical profession and Hippocratic oaths, or hypocritical oaths, however one looks at that, back in the Greek islands really has very little relevance.
Yes, it does.
The violence, hear me out a minute, I waited patiently.
Okay.
The violence that's associated with, well, not so patiently, but I waited. The violence associated with the labor movement and so on has been minimal and was a reaction in this century, not over the ages, a reaction in this century to the violence done workers by corporations and powerful economic groups when there was no workers' organization.
Puerto Rico had a problem with the electric association, and those that know the story, the state electric association, they have so much power that even the guy cleaning the building, he was making over 6 figures. It was bad, but they would just protest. They just close everything, and I mean it would be so bad. And the real thing was owned by the state. And there were some cases where, you know, there was physical confrontation with this union. They would just it will get crazy. I understand in the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century, the union movement started, and I understand why. Maybe back then there were no a lot of options to how to make money, and the only thing that you have is just a little factory right there, 2 hours walking, and that's the only way you can just provide for your family. You may need some protection. I understand that, and for those people that did what they needed to do, my respect. Now, when things got evolved to this point where they want just not a salary, they just want the entire profit of the company, that's a problem. Because now you're getting into a territory where they're giving you an inch and you're taking miles. Okay? So we have to humble ourselves and just say, you know what? Maybe the union was needed, right? But let's just make sure that base itself is strong, and that way we can just assure those rights are kept. That's it.
To protect them, and no way to
Let me
deal
know in the
with
comments
their
below if I'm
greed
wrong.
and with their
Okay,
power.
I'm wrong.
now I'm turning to
Let me know.
Milton because he's heard the flavor of the discussion.
Sure. What Lynn Williams is now saying is utter nonsense. And there's no two ways about it.
Milton Friedman, I think.
The conditions of the worker in this country before there was labor unions were very important, improved very greatly. You cannot tell me that millions of people, my parents, your parents for all I know, parents of many people around, came to this country from Europe in order to be exploited and in order to be subjected to violence. Of course, there were incidents
I agree with that vehemently. I mean, most of the blacks came to this country not voluntarily, but they were shipped here. And the interesting thing about the issue on Spartansburg,
hold on for a second,
is that you left out...
Let him finish, and then back to you, for sure.
The blacks are an exception, and I agree with you completely.
22 million exceptions, though.
They are a very important exception. But there are also millions and millions of people that Mr. Williams represents are not mostly...
Oh, his point. I don't understand that. What did the 22 million slaves has to do with this? I have no idea. I'm not saying it was okay, but that has nothing to do with the conversation. He just needed to just earn some points, I guess.
Black. They are mostly from the Slavic countries that came from
but if you look at the membership of the steelworkers...
If we go back, there was violence, of course. There always has been violence. It's not excusable. I'm not excusing violence on the part of anybody. But I agree with Mr. Green and with Walter Williams that people should be free to organize. Of course they should be free to organize. What I object to is the special privileges that have been given by government to labor unions, which are not available to other groups at all.
That's it? Oh, that's it. Oh, that's it. That was good. Oh, that's it. I wanted him to just get into it, but that's it. Oh, so as a free society, yeah, free people can just organize and do what they have to do. Good, no problem with that. I think what they're arguing is that the government just putting certain privileges, certain groups, that itself makes it very unfair, and it is unfair. Why the government have to give you privilege, right? And that in itself makes the market a little bit turbulent, from what I'm understanding. Again, I might be wrong. But if you're free, there's a couple groups here that say, you know what, we all sell, or we're plumbers, and we know, there's a union for plumbers, and there's 100 plumbers here, and we all agree that we're not gonna accept $100 per service or something like that. I don't know how they do it, but I'm just giving an example. You know what? That's true. Everything has to be above $100 and nothing below the $100. I understand that. Now, when the government itself comes in and say, you know what, we're gonna just give union to everybody, or no, not everybody, certain groups, and plumbers are gonna be in those groups, but not electricians. You see where's the problem? Now the government is interfering into the free market, from what I'm understanding, and that might create a lot of problems. That was a nice video. The debates, very good debates, very well managed. I'm gonna react a couple more tomorrow, but let me know what you think in the comments below. That was a very good back and forward. Am I wrong from what I'm thinking, or am I right? Let me know in the comments below.